Hi everyone and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're on our second day of this article about mailing a package overseas. We saw yesterday that Verity wants to send a package to her pen pal in Germany.
That's right, and she was at the post office trying to get some help with that, of course, because that's a good way to send a package to someone overseas. She had to kind of first explain what it was, and of course it was a birthday card along with a book that she was sending, and so she had to fill out a customs form to kind of, explain what it was to the government and make sure that she didn't have to pay any extra money on sending something over. But with a small birthday gift like that, you usually don't have to. And then she and the clerk who was serving her there, they talked a little bit about Germany. The clerk just sort of mentioned that he had always wanted to go there.
So Verity's friend's birthday is soon. It was like 4 days, and she hopes the package will get there on time. The clerk says she might have missed the boat. The express delivery might arrive on time, but it might be a day late. However, Verity says this is okay, and we'll kind of find out a bit more about a particular German custom today. So what happens next?
Yeah, it was okay because the Germans do something about like celebrating the birthday after the birthday. Yeah, well, we'll find out more about that interesting custom. But then she also realized she didn't have a box to put the package in, to put the gift inside, so she got a small box for that. That was no problem. And then she paid the clerk, and everything got measured and weighed, and they decided it was around 500 NT, just around 500 NT, to send the whole thing off. So it all went very successfully.
So in today's article, Verity will Skype with her pen pal, and we'll find out whether the package will arrive on time.
Oh, nice.
Let's read through.
Reading.
Mailing a package overseas. Verity is talking to Ilsa, her pen pal, on Skype.
Happy birthday, Ilsa.
Thanks.
What time is it in Germany now? I can't remember the time difference.
We're 6 hours behind Taiwan, so it's 1 p.m. here.
6 hours? Not 7?
It was 7 before we switched to daylight saving time at the end of March.
Right. I have a terrible memory. I nearly forgot our call because I got the time confused. I'm glad I didn't wish you a happy birthday a day early, though. That's bad luck, right?
Yes, we have a proverb about that. One should not praise the day before the evening. You remembered that tradition, so your memory is pretty good.
Thanks. I mailed you a gift, but I'm worried it won't get to you today. It might show up tomorrow.
Do you have the receipt with the tracking number? We can find out when it'll arrive.
Let me search in my drawer.
Someone's at the door. Speak of the devil. It's the mail carrier.
Ilsa answers the door.
All right, so our article for today, kind of sets up the scene. Pat just explained at the end of our intro there that Verity is going to be talking to her friend in Germany via Skype. It's always nice to Skype with your friends on their birthday, your long-distance friends. You might not be able to be there in person, but you can see them and have a nice chat. So we read at the beginning, Verity is talking to Ilsa, her pen pal, on Skype.
Yeah, and we've got to say, it's Skype. It's not Skypey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a common mispronunciation I've found here. It isn't Skypey, it is Skype.
Skype and YouTube are apps.
Right.
Yeah.
Not APPs, they're apps.
And not YouTube.
Right.
All right, so let's see, how does the conversation begin?
Back to the article. Okay, well, Verity says, happy birthday, Ilsa.
And Ilsa says, Dankeschön. No, she says thanks.
Yes, Dankeschön is German. I don't know how to say happy birthday in German. It's probably a really long word.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Okay, I might be able to say it in French, but not German for some reason. There you go. Anyway, Verity then asks, what time is it in Germany now? I can't remember the time difference. Of course, if you're in a different country, Verity's in Taiwan, Ilsa's in Germany, they're going to be several hours apart at least, and Verity isn't sure what the time difference is.
That's right. It might change a little bit because some countries do change their clocks in the spring and fall, but also, you know, if you don't call all the time, you often forget these numbers. So Ilse explains, we're 6 hours behind Taiwan, so it's 1 p.m. here. So if they're 6 hours behind, that would mean it's 7 p.m. in Taiwan.
Right, and then Verity isn't quite sure. She wants to confirm this and says 6 hours, not 7. So maybe they've Skyped before and maybe the time difference was 7 hours before. As Mike mentioned about countries changing their clocks. Let's get into this now.
All right, so yeah, Ilse explains it was 7 before we switched to daylight saving time at the end of March. Yeah, so in the springtime, around March, in the fall, I think in October, people will switch their clocks either forward an hour, back an hour. It's because in a lot of the northern countries, the sun gets up very early in the summertime, so they kind of fiddle with the clocks a little bit. It was something really for farmers. That was one of the reasons they did it, but they still do it, and it still causes confusion to people. I always get confused with, calling friends in Canada. Is it 12 hours or 13 hours? I always get it confused. Anyways, to switch, though, we use that word to switch to daylight saving time, is to basically change usually from one to another, from A to B, all right? It's not a huge change. Often when you switch things, you're going from one common thing to another common other choice. If you go to a restaurant and you want to have the soup and they say, I'm sorry, there's no more soup. How about a salad? You'll say, okay, I'll switch from a soup to a salad. You're not going to switch from a soup to a giant turkey or something like that. That would be too much of a big change. So a switch is usually from something quite simple to another similar, quite simple option. For example, Glenn switched his sweater for a jacket when he saw that it was going to rain. He thought the sweater will not be good in the rain. The jacket is waterproof. They will both keep me warm. That's why I'm switching from a sweater to a jacket.
That's right. And so Mike mentioned daylight savings time. It means the clocks are moved forward an hour in spring. They're moved back an hour in autumn.
Spring forward, fall back.
Exactly.
Yes.
And it means that the sun goes down later in the day as well, and people have a bit more daylight to go to work in. And as Mike mentioned, it's up in the north and also in the southern parts of the world. It's not near the equator when the amount of daylight doesn't vary so much throughout the year. The sun kind of goes up and down at around the same time. But up in the far north and the far southern bits of the world, it changes, so people adjust the clocks to mean people do more of their activities in the daytime. So Taiwan does not have daylight savings. It doesn't really need it. The UK does. So the UK, it flips between 7 hours and 8 hours difference from Taiwan. I've heard there are parts of Canada that don't follow it. Maybe, I think some parts of Saskatchewan, because it's on a slightly different time zone.
Okay.
So they don't need to bother with daylight savings. I'm not sure. It can be done by a province level for you guys.
Yeah, the whole thing
is a giant country.
The whole thing is quite confusing. But the good news is they usually do it on Saturday night into Sunday morning.
Yes.
Meaning that people won't be late for work. You won't use it as an excuse to miss the first hour of school or something like that. So they usually do it Saturday night to Sunday morning.
Yeah.
They'll announce it. You'll hear about it on the news.
Right. And when I was younger, it meant that you had to go around all the house, changing all the clocks, changing all the video recorder and TV clocks.
The microwave clock.
Yeah. Now pretty much everything does it automatically.
That's right.
Your phone will do it automatically. If I have the phone app which tells me what time it is in London, that will automatically correct twice a year.
Oh, computers are so smart.
Exactly. You don't need to go and change things. Yet, my mum will still message everyone in my family to say clocks are going forward.
Don't forget to change your clocks.
Yeah, as if we needed to go and do something.
There you go, Mom. The computers
Bless
do
her.
it. Jeez. Yeah, well, she's just concerned about you. She's a good mom.
It's a habit.
There you go. All right, so back to the conversation. Verity, after she gets this news and gets, this little reminder from her friend Ilse says, right, I have a terrible memory. So, right, yes, I remember now. Thanks for that reminder. Thanks for pointing that out. I have a terrible memory. I mean, she lives in Taiwan. There's no real reason for her to remember this, but she's, it's something she was told before. She kind of forgot, so she's thanking her friend for helping her remember.
Yep, and she gives another example of her bad memory. She says, I nearly forgot our call because I got the time confused. Hang on, is it your time 1, my time 1, my time 7, my time 6? I almost forgot. She got confused. If you confuse things, you mix them up. You think one thing is another thing. You can't remember which one is right and which one is wrong. You can't remember if it's Saturday or Sunday you're supposed to meet your friend, or morning or afternoon. You just get all the facts jumbled up in your head and you're not quite sure what's right. For example, it is easy to confuse an alligator with a crocodile because they look very similar. You really have to check the noses, and you might not want to get close enough to do that.
That's true. It's like the shape of the head or the nose or something. But yeah, if you don't really look at them carefully and you're not really interested in them, it would be quite easy to get confused. Anyways, back to the conversation. Verity says, I'm glad I didn't wish you a happy birthday a day early, though. So she might have been confused by the time, but not by the day. And she's saying that's a good thing. She's glad she didn't do this. She's glad she didn't wish her a happy birthday a day early. And then there's a good reason for that, not just because it would be sort of rude or it would show that she's not remembering her friend well enough, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah, she asks to confirm that's bad luck, right? So this is almost like a tag question where the right is saying, I think that's right, but could you confirm that for me, please?
Yeah, and Ilse says, yes, yeah, it is true. It is bad luck, at least in German tradition, and she explains a bit about that. She says, yes, we have a proverb about that. One should not praise the day before the evening. Okay, this is a proverb, a saying, a little bit of wisdom that's, wrapped up in a short sentence that most German people, at least, will know about and will have heard since they were kids. And, they bring it out around birthday times to remember that don't wish someone happy birthday before their birthday, or to quote the proverb, one should not praise the day before the evening. I guess this is like the English proverb, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Don't celebrate a birthday the day before the birthday because that could be bad luck. Maybe the person will die before their birthday. Oh my gosh. So you should always wait until something has happened before you celebrate that it's happened, because you could be bringing some bad luck down on yourself. And actually, proverbs are often about luck, about, health and things like that, just avoiding bad things in your life. A proverb is kind of, as I mentioned, it's a saying. It's a few, words that are easy to remember, and they'll carry a bit of wisdom. They'll carry a good idea. They make it easy to remember. For example, we could say Aesop's fables gave us many famous proverbs, right? The tortoise and the hare, slow and steady wins the race.
Yep.
Something like that. So, we often have them from fables, from fairy tales, myths, things
old
like
sayings
that. Going
back
in time, yeah.
Yep. So one of the words in that proverb was praise. One should not praise the day before the evening. To praise means to say very nice things about people, to say they're kind of great, they've done a good job, they've got a great amount of skill or talent or ability.
Them.
Yeah, to kind of make aware, to say nice things to them, but also for other people to hear, so they kind of agreeing like, yeah, they're really good. Something we had a lot of earlier this year was people praising the medical people, the medical profession in hospitals. We've got our example sentence. People praised the doctors and nurses for all their hard work. They said, you guys are brave, you guys are awesome, you're doing a superb job, you're heroes.
There you go. And Ilse is impressed that Verity remembered this tradition. She says, you remembered that tradition, so your memory is good. So she's kind of making her feel good about maybe getting the time confused and saying, oh, my memory's so bad. But she's like, no, your memory's not that bad. You remembered that birthday tradition from Germany.
Yeah, your memory is pretty good. So Verity is feeling happier. She says, thanks. And then adds, I mailed you a gift, but I'm worried it won't get to you today. Like we said yesterday, that express delivery could be 4 days, maybe 5 days, so who knows when it will turn up.
And Verity adds, it might show up tomorrow. So if it doesn't get to you today, if it doesn't arrive at your home today, it might arrive or show up tomorrow. She uses the phrasal verb to show up. And yeah, it's kind of like arrive, to appear. What time will you come to the party? Oh, I'll show up at your party around 8 p.m. Something like that. I'll arrive at your party. I'll get there. You'll be able to see me. That kind of thing. It's a casual way of saying appear or arrive.
Okay, so Ilsa wants to maybe kind of reassure her that it will get there and says, do you have the receipt with the tracking number?
She wants her birthday present.
Well, either that or she's just being, a very organized, efficient, methodical German.
Or both.
Yeah. Germans have a reputation for being quite organized and things like that. So she says, do you have the receipt? A receipt is a proof of purchase. It's a piece of paper or maybe an electronic record these days that shows that you have bought something. Of course, in Taiwan, you get the fapiao, which has the record and also has a lottery number that you can win. And you get that pretty much any time you buy something, they'll give you that receipt. And it says what you bought, how much it cost, when you bought it. And so a receipt from the post office would have the information about when it was sent, when it was delivered, how much it cost, and so on. But it would also have this tracking number. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's look at a sentence for receipt. In Taiwan, if you keep your receipt, you might win some money.
Yeah, that's true. It's every 2 months, right? They
every 2 months, yeah.
The lucky numbers on the receipt, and if you keep them, you might win some money. I think you can do it online these days,
I've got an app. Not an app, an app.
Not an app,
I have an app that you can just point it at the receipt.
Very cool.
And you can store the receipt numbers in there when you get the receipt so you don't have to keep all the paper ones around.
I used to sit around for hours going through that and go, I took 2 hours to look at my receipts and I got $200.
Get with technology. It saves you time.
That's great. But in either case, if you're using the app or just doing it on your own, you want to track those receipt numbers. It's basically to follow, to pay attention to. Really, we are talking about following something. You can track someone like a dog is used by the police to track the criminal as he tried to escape through the forest or something like that. But we also use it just to kind of, pay attention. You might use an app to track the weather or something like that. If you have a big event coming up, you want to, keep informed, stay up on the news and the changes and what's going on. But in this case, you are actually kind of following the package as it moves from the post office to a truck to the airport, onto a plane, across the ocean or whatever, and then to the country you're sending it to. This allows you to follow or track that package. And we often talk about tracking numbers, or like in the sentence, a tracking code. Pretty much the same thing. This tracking code can help you know where your package is right now. Why would you use a code? Maybe there's some letters. Maybe it's 555 GX789 or something like that. So we might not say a tracking number, but a tracking code.
Yep. And of course, every time this package goes through a place, it'll be entered into a computer system. They'll check it, they'll log it, they'll record it. So that's why if you put this number into a website, for example, it should be able to tell you this was delivered right here on this day and at this time. And then you can make a guess about when it'll turn up. As Ilsa says, we can find out when it'll arrive.
Very cool. But don't get too excited about those tracking numbers. Sometimes things just sit around. When I order things on Amazon, I'm often like, why has it been in New Jersey for 4 days? Why isn't it on an airplane? It's to give you a basic idea of where it is, especially if it doesn't arrive. That's when you really want to have that tracking number. So it is something useful that Ilsa could use. Hopefully it will get there on time. But if it doesn't, getting that number will be good. And so Verity says, let me search in my drawer. She's looking for the receipt. It'll have the tracking number on, but she has to find it first.
Yep, but before she can do that, Ilsa says, someone's at the door.
Huh?
So the phrase at the door means that this person has knocked at a door or rung the bell and is waiting for it to be answered. They're standing on the doorstep saying, here I am, come and, meet me, come and accept this delivery, come and, welcome me into your home. We just mean that they are waiting at the door, they've knocked, they've done something to get the attention of the person who lives in the house, and they're just waiting for you to come and reply.
There you go. And who is at the door? Well, we find out. Speak of the devil, says Ilsa. It's the mail carrier. The devil has brought her package. Isn't that nice? No, of course, it's not really the devil. That's an expression, speak of the devil. And speak of the devil, it's also today's pocket phrase go. What a coincidence. Let's go find out more about it.
Pocket Phrase Go!
哎呦，你有没有听说隔壁那个山田太太报名了健身房，现在身材好得不得了啦。Oh, speak of the devil, here she is. 说曹操到山田太太你这个身材说是大学生都相信啦。大家有没有遇过这个说曹操到的经验呢？像我刚刚呢是说好话还好，要是说坏话，哎呀，就是呢最怕空气突然安静哦。说曹操到，英文呢我们就说 speak of the devil， 说到这个小恶魔他就出现了，就是这个意思咯。
All right, so yes, speak of the devil is something that we say when whatever or whoever, especially whoever we were talking about, suddenly appears just as or just after we talk about that person. It's almost like the act of God or an act of the devil or some magic happened there. We were just talking about you and you walked in the door, you walked in the room. So they were just talking about the mail carrier and the doorbell rang and it's the mail carrier. Speak of the devil.
Yep. You know, there's a Chinese equivalent for this one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. My pronunciation might be off, but it's basically 说曹操dao.
Okay.
From the character from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Cao Cao.
Oh, okay.
Because he was kind of a bit of a bad guy in the story, but the phrase was basically, you say his name and he appears.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost a direct speak of the devil
right.
translation.
But we're not saying that mail carriers are devils
no.
or anything like that. It's just the coincidence that we happen to be talking about.
Maybe that explains why dogs attack them. They can sense their evil.
Interesting.
But no, they're just normal people delivering the mail.
Yep.
And the article finishes by saying Ilsa answers the door. So she's going to see, it is the mail carrier? Does he have the package? So maybe the conversation will carry on and they can talk about the book and the card and everything will be great. But we're going to leave them to do that as we go to today's For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
So the question today is, do you ever talk to people in other countries? How do you deal with the time difference?
Good question.
It's as I said earlier, for the UK it's 7 or 8 hours, which usually means it's later in the evening for me and earlier in the day for my family, which is actually pretty good around Christmas because it means it's the evening for me, so I can relax after my work is done. I'm not going to go anywhere. I can just sit on Skype and talk to them for a few hours with nothing else that I need to do, and they're during Christmas Day, Christmas morning. So that actually, for Christmas and birthdays, the time difference really works out in my favor. How about you?
Well, it's a bit more of a time difference. If I'm talking to my friends in Montreal, it's around 12 hours, and family on the other coast, the west coast in Vancouver, 15 hours. So actually, just this past weekend, we had a big Zoom conversation with many cousins all online from Vancouver and other parts of North America. But I lost in that case because there were many of them. There was one me here in Taiwan, so I had to do it at 8:30 on Sunday morning.
Okay.
And for them, it was all Saturday night,
right.
I believe.
Something afternoon or whatever.
They had a good time. But that was kind of fun. There were about 15 people in this conversation. Not the best way to talk to people.
No, chaos.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. But, with technology, Skype or Zoom or even, using internet calls or stuff like that, it's a great way to stay in touch.
Yeah, I do. Most of my friends in the UK and family are on WhatsApp, so that's what I use to message them. Sometimes Facebook. I've got a different website for sharing baby photos with people where it's invite only. For my grandma, because she doesn't have the internet, then I will still give her a call every now and again.
Okay.
I will send her messages and write her a little, I might send my mum a birthday card that says happy birthday, but for my grandma, I'll try and write something to go with the birthday card because
that's nice.
it's not always possible to call her and have a long chat.
Sure.
So that is mostly how I talk with people in other countries. I'm sure it's the same for pretty much everyone. Different apps, different programs, different kinds of things. The time difference, just you have to live with it. A friend of mine said, hey, we should have a call one time. And then he messaged me on Monday morning. He was like, I'll give you a call right now. I was like, it's Monday morning. I'm at work. He's like, oh, yeah, it's Sunday for me. For some reason, I thought Taiwan was behind. It's like, no, America is, as usual, behind.
Right. Got a little confused.
Yeah, so it does happen even to people who are used to time differences. You just kind of mix things up, you confuse things, and there you go.
Be safe. Send a message before the call.
Right, yeah. Confirm times before you deal with that sort of stuff. So that is all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. For English For You, I'm Pat.
I'm Mike.
And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Mailing a package overseas. Verity is talking to Ilsa, her pen pal, on Skype.
Happy birthday, Ilsa.
Thanks.
What time is it in Germany now? I can't remember the time difference.
We're 6 hours behind Taiwan, so it's 1 p.m. here.
6 hours? Not 7?
It was 7 before we switched to daylight saving time at the end of March.
Right. I have a terrible memory. I nearly forgot our call because I got the time confused. I'm glad I didn't wish you a happy birthday a day early, though. That's bad luck, right?
Yes, we have a proverb about that. One should not praise the day before the evening. You remembered that tradition, so your memory is pretty good.
Thanks. I mailed you a gift, but I'm worried it won't get to you today. It might show up tomorrow.
Do you have the receipt with the tracking number? We can find out when it'll arrive.
Let me search in my drawer.
Someone's at the door. Speak of the devil. It's the mail carrier.
Ilsa answers the door.
Vocabulary Review.
Switch. I used to have bubble milk tea every day at lunch, but I switched to fresh juice because it's healthier. Confuse. My mom confused sugar with salt when she cooked the soup, so the taste was completely wrong. Proverb. Many cultures have proverbs that give good advice for understanding life's difficulties. Praise. The baseball team was praised for winning so many games and training so hard. Receipt. Karen bought a new TV and saved the receipt in case she needed to return it to the store. Track. After he paid for the product, Fred was able to track his package online to see when it would arrive.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net